Heyo, this is King Kerfuffle, and I'm here with a quick update on my Kensei build. After making some minor tweaks to my katana, I was finally able to push past the milestone for 1 million damage in a single hit. Now, does that mean you're going to get that kind of damage every time? No. This is more to show that with my Kensei build you can, but not necessarily that you should. Before we get started though, I just want to quickly say hello and thank you to all the new PC players that have been messaging me questions, and I'll be happy to assist you in any way I can. But now we come to the breakdown on reaching the infamous 7th digit. And as a bonus, I found another God Roll spear to compare to my current one. Hajime! After unveiling my Kensei build, I kept wondering, okay, what's next? I didn't want to start on a whole new build, and I'm not quite ready to try For Honor again, so I thought, well, what can I do to make this one better? I saw what an improvement I got out of my God Roll spear, Kanmeki no Raijin, so I started wondering, what if I had the same thing but for my katana? So began hours of forging new katanas over and over and over, to the point where I was literally falling asleep on my couch with my controller in my hands. That when I would finally get one that had the Iai skill damage and a CTA AA stat, it would always be the wrong damn one. And once I ended up getting one that had CTA body on it, and I thought that might actually have some nice synergy with my spear. But even it ended up being garbage since it meant I'd have to swap out skill or strength, so I stuffed it away in the storage with all the others. I finally said, F this, RNGesus doesn't love me anymore! So instead, I tried reforging the sword I already had. For some of you new PC players, here's a forging tip. If you re-roll 3 or more stats at once, you have a chance at getting a higher tier roll on 1 or more of your slots. For example, my hand cannon has agility A+, and fire damage to 24%. Both the A+, and the 24% can only happen when rolling 3 slots at one time. Any less, and you'll get the next tier down. So when you're reforging, pray to the Nioh gods and hope you get everything in one go, or you're going to end up having to settle. That ended up being the case with my katana. I did rejoice at getting CTA Heart at AA-, but I didn't get Familiarity A+, at the same time, so I ended up having to forge it to just A instead. Now that begs the question, if you roll Familiarity A+, and forge CTA A+, isn't that just a wash with Familiarity A and CTA AA-? I can't statistically prove it with a solid number or percentage, but my short answer is no. I can say that because when I first started pushing for the million, I did exactly that. I reforged for Familiarity A+, and CTA A+, but I could only get it to about 935,000 and change. I used all the same magic and ninjutsu as when I did my what can this build do test in my last video, plus I added a yokai water pot. That, and I really didn't want to get into the realm of swapping out my spear for an axe or a Kasurigama and get their attack buff skills. Nor did I want to cast a bunch of elemental magics to proc confusion status. It had to be with my build, as it is, right now. And it was only after getting CTA up to AA- that I finally pushed it to the limit. Now there's bound to be someone that comes along and says, "Sorry King Kerfuffle, but elemental damage doesn't count, so you're 1 point short." Technically, yeah, you'd be right. I've seen videos where people have gone past 1 million, however they all, as far as I can tell, seem to be on version 1.16 or before. At some point between then and now, Team Ninja has changed something and it has put a damage cap in the game. How do I know this? Because I recreated this same scenario using 2 very different guardian spirits, Kato and Tengen Kujaku. And in both instances I performed the same steps and I hit the same value. The only difference being the fire damage, since Kato gives an extra 6.5% to it. That in mind, it is statistically impossible for me to have landed on the exact same number unless something outside of my control was influencing it, thus proving there is a damage cap. So in reality, I have no idea how much damage this build can do, but at this point I think I've earned the benefit of the doubt. Now as always, as is my tradition, it's time to name this sword. Since it is literally just my last sword, only upgraded, I appropriately named it Kyubi no Kokoro, Heart of the Nine Tails. Now in my Kensei build video, I made the comment that my current spear, Kanmeki no Raijin, was the best I could likely ever hope for, and that a spear with added tornado damage instead of wild spear may not be as effective. Well, ask and ye shall receive. Now for the time being, I will refer to these spears simply as red and blue. Red being my current spear, and blue being the new contender. Blue not only has AA- to skill, but it also has the aforementioned skill damage to tornado, taking its set total to 54.3%. However, once again, it's a scenario where because I didn't get it naturally, and I don't have enough slots to re-roll it, I have to settle with Familiarity A. Red, on the other hand, has Familiarity AA, and unlike other skills, CTA can be re-rolled or forged to A+. For testing, I tried to match their base damage as much as possible, with both of them being at plus 46, and they are only one level apart in Blue's favor. Before pitting these two against each other, I've set the following parameters. For Tornado, I only counted damage after the initial strike required to start the ground pound. And to match Tornado's criteria as closely as possible, for Wild Spear, I only counted 4 hits, of which I used only hits 2 through 5, as to not get a bonus from paralysis or extra damage on an enemy with full life. Statistically, it doesn't matter that I do this because it would affect both of them in the same way, but I chose to do it to show what the damage is doing without another added influence. And in every test, I use the same Guardian Spirits and Nioh magics. The only variable I cannot account for is the unknown difference in the Familiarity and CTA damage modifiers, but that's precisely what this test is for, to see if a particular combination is better than the other. When testing Red, which only receives a 30% set bonus to Tornado, it scored a total of 298,220, and with 24% extra damage to Wild Spear, scored 162,634. When testing Blue, which does 54.3% extra tornado damage, it scored 311,256, and with no bonus to Wild Spear, scored 128,396. Despite what looks like a clear advantage to Tornado's skill damage, Blue was only 4.4% more effective, but Wild Spear was an astounding 26.7% more effective on Red, meaning that the combination of Familiarity AA and CTA A+ is completely overwhelming and nearly negating the advantage Blue should have on Tornado. With those percentages and the total damage between both skills combined, Red is clearly the dominant spear, and earns the right to retain its title as Kanmeki no Raijin. So, between both of these demonstrations, we've seen that the differences between varying levels of Familiarity and CTA can produce drastically different outcomes, and that ultimately it's up to the Nioh gods to decide what unique combinations you'll be blessed with. If anything, I hope this video has been informative, and has given you ideas on how to push your own builds to their fullest potential. And as always, domo arigatou gozaimasu, and good luck, samurai!